So when might we have a new government to run this country, and who's in charge in the meantime? If no party has an outright majority, then leaders must do deals to form a government, and that means likely Luxon on these numbers, calling Winston, calling Seymour. But with a by-election due on November the 25th, there are fears this thing could drag on until Christmas. Constitutional law expert and barrister May Chen is with us this morning to break it down. Good morning.
Morena.
Thank you for being here. So first of all, if there's a hung parliament, which is looking very likely, and no leader has a majority, how long is there a time frame before which they need to form a government?
Yes, I'm feeling extremely calm. The reason is because we have a very sound constitutional system that caters for all of these issues. And there is a timetable, and it says that within 6 weeks of the return of the writs, which is the 9th of November, Parliament needs to reconvene. It needs to be re-established. So that's by the 21st of December. Now, by then, most of us will be doing our Christmas shopping. Yeah. We will not be thinking about politics. But they have until that time to get themselves sorted. But look, let's be honest. In general, it's taken 5 weeks. Yeah. Once it took 9 weeks. And I think there was a bit of a Winston factor there. That was the first time. And then, of course, there was once when it only took 2 weeks. Yeah. So,
but if they are in a situation where National and ACT together are on 60 seats, for example, and they are desperately wanting that by-election seat from November the 25th to get to 61 to form a government without needing Winston, though they might still use him, whatever. That could drag on. Do they, when they meet back in Parliament on the 21st of December, do they have to have a government at that point, or do they just need to sit in the House?
No, they need to have formed a government. It's at the moment, if we have no clear result on election night, there's a caretaker government. So Chris Hipkins will continue with his current government. They need to keep the ship of state on course. It can't be off course. They can't take any major decisions. If there's a crisis, they should consult all sides. But the reality is that that is the role of the Governor-General. Dame Cindy Kiro has done an amazing job, but she has a very important job constitutionally. She is the referee or the umpire, neutral when the constitutional chips are down. And if both parties don't get an outright majority, she can't necessarily just go to the one that got the most votes and say, how's about it, form something. It's up to the politicians to talk to each other and form some sort of alignment or coalition. They need to go to her. They need to convince her. They need to give her evidence that they command the confidence and supply in Parliament. Now, her job is to exercise the discretion at that point and say, I have sufficient evidence that they do have the confidence of Parliament, i.e. the MPs, and therefore I'm saying you as the leader of this coalition
you can get across the line.
Will become Prime Minister, so and you will form a government.
You'd need Winnie and David and Chris in the back of a taxi up to...
Well, of course, you know, there might be a grand coalition. I mean, there are all sorts of possibilities. But the important point is this. If politicians think that we're going to another election, they should think very hard about why we've never been in this situation again. I don't think any elector will thank them, but I think they will punish them.
Yeah, I don't
do this again.
I don't think anyone.
My easy vote card has just arrived. That's a shame because I voted last weekend, but they finally found my house.
What are we? 2 days out from election day?
It's all right.
It's not the end of the world, is it? If there was some major constitutional or significant government decision that had to be made, like a lockdown or something to do with the military, if our politicians couldn't agree, who is technically in charge?
So what happens in that case is that we have a caretaker government. So whoever's the incumbent is the caretaker. So that's Chris Hipkins and his team. But he should consult. Yeah. You know,
but at the end of the day, if no one can agree, it's his decision.
It is his decision. Yeah. And remember also that we've had the situation before. We had a situation where Muldoon came, he was on his way out. You'll remember the Longi government came in. They said do X, he said no. And now, of course, we've amended our Constitution Act so that if within a certain number of days, you are going to become a member of Parliament, then you can be sworn in as a minister. and go and do it yourself. But of course, once again, we're in the situation where the Governor-General would need to be convinced that you really have the confidence of Parliament. Now, it's not a dissolution situation, it's a situation where you've got a new government coming in. If it's a dissolution situation, she can go a little further and say to herself, is that stable, what you've put together? Is that sustainable? When it's just a new government coming in, she should only say to herself, is there evidence that you have confidence? But of course you could argue that if it's so unstable and it looks so unsustainable, maybe she says to herself, I'm not sure you've really got the confidence of Parliament and we might just wait a little bit longer.
A lot of weight on her shoulders is pivotal.
It's very important.
She is the umpire. Constitutional law expert and barrister May Chen with us. Thank you very much for your time.